Hey, XO Now subscribers, welcome back. It's Donnie and Dara here, and we are hanging with our newfound friends, Dave and Ashley Willis. Guys, thanks for being here.
Oh,
hey,
or as we like to say, Mark Cuban meets
Cuban.
Luke Wilson.
That is, I was created in a lab to be a hybrid of
Right.
Luke Wilson and Mark
And
Cuban.
we also have an idea that we were thinking for Shark Tank, if that's okay, we were going to present
Please,
later.
bitch.
There you go.
I only have
He's your man.
$100 in my checking account, so there's not a lot of
No
Big
judgment.
difference.
buy into
Big
your,
difference.
to your business. I'd love to hear about it.
Well, we wanted to get to know you guys a little bit, and for our XO Now subscribers, just to, they've seen you guys, they've heard you minister, and it's amazing.
Yeah, so
we'll
good.
get to that. But first, I heard, a little birdie told me that you have a hidden talent, that if this whole marriage thing doesn't work out,
Right.
that you could actually become a voice actor.
He really could. He's so good.
So maybe then, Ashley, maybe you can have him do maybe your favorite couple for us.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, he's really good at like European accents. He can do a conglomeration. Like I love his Irish, his Scottish,
We need a few.
Australian.
Well, the Irish accent's really up and higher in the register, but the Scottish is just a bit more like you've had a few pints to drink. Right, then there's Australian, which is a bit different altogether, sometimes mistaken with British, which sounds much more refined. But
That is amazing.
They all
I'm
can
like-
just sort of flow together. So.
Wow. I mean, I didn't know if that was Braveheart or if I was
I
sitting
know,
with...
I did
know.
see a kilt, I was wondering.
Yeah.
I know. He loves
would-
doing voices.
I'd be wearing a kilt right now if I could.
He probably would.
Okay, also, I don't really know how to bring this up, but I'm just going to say butt crack.
Yes.
Yes.
And
It's
will
our
you just
safe
go
word.
there? Will you?
I will. I'll go there. So Dave likes to keep me laughing every day, and like
Okay.
I don't know how many years you've been doing this, but it's a long time. He tries to show me like a half moon, like half of his butt crack,
Okay.
at some point in the day when other people are obviously not looking, and
I
it'll
call
be in
it
the
my
most
man
random
cleavage.
time. His man cleavage. And I like it. And so like he'll be going like getting something out of the house, and then he'll like randomly just
Flash
show
you.
a little crack and.
Wow.
I'm gonna
It
get
keeps me
arrested one day. It
surprised,
happens
yeah.
in public
I know.
sometimes, like where there's no one. I
like,
think there's no one around. and
Our
I'll
kids
just
don't
kinda,
know. Like our kids have not caught him yet, so I'm like, they're gonna be like, Dad, what in the world are you doing?
That is
I love
amazing.
it.
Keep it spicy.
It definitely keeps it spicy.
Okay.
Well, there's
Yeah.
so much talk about, the blood moons and all that here recently. And so maybe Dave is just more
Prophetic.
prophetic than he
He's
realizes.
a prophetic soul.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is definitely a white moon. It's not a. It's not.
Not so much a blood moon.
Well, speaking of naked,
Oh, man.
you guys talk a lot about transparency, openness,
Yeah.
the original intent of marriage.
Yeah.
And you guys have some new resources in a new book coming out, Naked Marriage. Can
Right.
you guys kind of give us maybe a synopsis, maybe a summary of what that is?
Sure. We're so excited about it. It's called The Naked Marriage, and it all goes back to Adam and Eve, the very first married couple. They're in the garden with God, and there's this beautiful moment of unity, and it says they were naked and unashamed.
Yeah.
And that's in Genesis. And we just really believe that God, He still wants that for us today, and that we can have that through vulnerability, because we know how the story goes. The serpent comes in, tells them to doubt God, and then they go to the tree and they go out of bounds and have that fruit, and suddenly they're filled with shame and they want to hide from each other and from God. And so the whole book is about how you come out of hiding, how you can be vulnerable, how you can be honest and transparent, and really how it's going to connect you on all levels. And we use the terminology naked marriage because we believe truly we should be naked in every way, physically, emotionally, spiritually.
Good.
It's so good. So speaking of naked,
Yes.
what's some of y'all's favorite sexy time music?
Oh wow, I don't know. I think like some
Yeah.
R&B.
I mean, keep it PG, but
Yeah.
I'm like, can I ask this?
Anything
Well, I will
that's
say
not-
my ringtone. You want to tell them my ringtone that you put on my phone?
Right. So I found this song called Wild Love. And
I can't even think of who the
made
artist
her
is.
ringtone.
I
So every
wanna
time I
give you
call
wild
it,
love.
give you wild love.
Are you Brad Paisley? That's the other one.
Brad Paisley.
Like, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Nationwide is on your side.
Oh my goodness.
No, that's awesome. Okay, so Wild Love
Well, love, yes.
Yeah.
is your
It's my
idea.
Yes, I like it. It's
Okay.
PG too. It's PG.
We'll go listen. It's good.
Well, speaking of cracks, being transparent in marriage, maybe for some people it's kind of hard. Because if you see my cracks,
And I have.
my
Yes,
imperfect
that's real.
places, the parts of me that maybe I feel like are ugly and unlovable, maybe you won't love me.
Yeah.
How would you encourage a couple that maybe they're hearing this for the first time
Yeah.
and maybe realizing, man, transparency maybe is where we need to go?
Yeah.
How would you encourage them to begin to dive into that?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
We always say the level of your honesty will determine the level of your intimacy. And so even though it's scary to get vulnerable and naked and transparent, like it's really the only way to experience real love. It's the only way to experience marriage and intimacy the way God intended. And if you're not going to those places where you're willing to show everything, flaws and all, then you're hindering yourself from experiencing that love. You're settling for a cheap substitute. And so it takes courage, it takes transparency, it takes a little bit of temporary discomfort to initially open those conversations, but it always leads to good places.
Yes.
It's beautiful. I've heard, I don't remember the speaker, so I won't quote them, but I heard someone say, there are some things that are worth doing afraid.
Yes,
And I
absolutely.
think this would definitely be one of them, right?
It would, because it is scary. Being vulnerable is scary. And I do think we live in this culture that says you can't trust anybody.
Sure.
And so even people don't trust their spouse. They go into the marriage in an untrusting way. And you see like people having exit strategies really on the day they say, I do.
Sure.
And when you go in that way, you're totally missing out, because we want to be known and we want to fully know our spouse. And in order to do that, we can't have these hidden things.
Yeah.
We can't have, even from our past, our present, and even what we're hoping for the future. I mean, we've got to talk about it all. And when we do, even the hard stuff, like Dave was saying, even if it's stuff we did that's wrong, when we bring that out in the open, it's amazing what God can do, because we have to work through it, and it's kind of messy at first, but then there's this beautiful way that God brings us together and puts us on a deeper level.
That's amazing. What if it feels like, and I know a lot of it's probably perception, but what if it feels like the environment or the culture of your marriage feels judgmental?
Mm-hmm.
So what if you're afraid because you don't want to be judged by your spouse? Like, how do you overcome that?
That's awesome question.
That
Big
is,
deal.
and that takes an extra level of vulnerability when you feel like it's just a hard place to be. And I know a lot of people are there where that trust hasn't been built up, or maybe that trust has been broken because of lack of the true kind of acceptance that needs to happen.
Yeah.
I think that each spouse individually has to first and foremost, they have to receive it from God before they can give it to anybody else.
So good.
So God gives us himself fully and completely. He looks at us and says, I've seen the worst parts of you. I love you completely as you are, not as you will be, because none of us are as we will be. He says, I love you, I accept you, you're adopted, you're part of my family, you're created in my image. And once we find our identity in him and our wholeness in him, then we won't go in with this broken view of needing our spouse to complete us in a worldly kind of way.
Wow.
We'll recognize that Christ has completed us so that we can be the husband or wife we're created to be, and we can put ourselves out there even when sometimes we're wounded by the very one who should love us the most. And over time, I think through God's love, pouring through us and us just finding that contentment and that peace in him, it'll guard our own hearts from even those times when maybe that sinful nature we all have wounds us, even in our spouse. And over time, I think it'll soften our spouse's heart to the point where they can recognize what they've been doing that's wrong and make wise choices.
Yeah, because a big part of the naked marriage is staying connected to God. I think we've at different points in our marriage, maybe early on, tried to do it on our own, trying to work through our stuff on our own.
Yeah.
But you can't do that. You really can't have the marriage God wants you to have without being rooted in him.
Yeah.
And first being vulnerable with God.
That's so good.
In the garden, when you go back to the story in Genesis, when Adam and Eve are hiding, God comes to greet them and he says, Adam, where are you? And we know he's God. He knows where they are. But he wants them to come out. And Adam says, I'm hiding because I'm naked. And he says, who told you that? And he's like, come here.
Yeah.
And I think God, it's like whenever we're dealing with something, he wants us to go to him first. But then when we're married, the next person we need to talk to is our spouse, to bring them in that picture. And really, I believe we heal better from those wounds, whatever we're dealing with, when we lean on each other.
Wow. I think that's so beautiful because, I think you said earlier, your level of transparency will determine your level of healing.
Yes.
Intimacy.
Yeah.
Intimacy.
So maybe there's a marriage out there that are saying, okay, I've been honest with God, I've been transparent, I've been naked before God, and now my husband and I, my wife and I, we're being more transparent with each other.
Yeah.
Is there a next step? Is there a next level of transparency that can take that healing and that intimacy and that God factor in our marriage to the next level?
Yeah, I think there's all kinds of ways you can do it. I would say, continue praying together. And I think so many times people will pray individually, but they won't pray together.
Yeah.
There's such power in praying together out loud, because it's really hard to stay mad at someone when you're praying for them at the same time.
Yeah, that's
it's
so good.
literally impossible. And I challenge people to do it, because God will, we're humbling ourselves before him, but we're also humbling ourselves towards our spouse.
Yeah.
And he may not change our situation right away, but he will certainly change our hearts and he'll soften them. So I
good.
really challenge couples to really make prayer just a huge part of your daily life together.
And it's,
I love
and
that.
it's intimate. I mean,
It's
I know a
very
lot of
intimate,
couples that
yes.
they'll have sex, but they won't pray together because prayer seems too vulnerable, too intimate.
Yeah.
So even more so sometimes in their mind than the physical act of sex,
Absolutely.
because really that's the soul nakedness.
Yes.
And if you want a naked marriage, it can't just be physical. It has to be emotional and spiritual. It has to be all those areas coming together.
We needed that reminder. That's
Wow.
powerful.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, guys. Well, Dave, Ashley, thank you again for hanging out with us. Man, I wish I could have been taking notes from everything that you guys were talking about.
Well, you recorded it, so
That's
you can
right.
watch it later.
Yeah,
Perfect. Digital cameras, all of that, the
That's
whole
right.
point that we're here. So I know it blessed our listeners. I know it blessed our subscribers. So thanks for being a part of EXO. And man, we're just praying that the naked marriage becomes synonymous
viral. Thank you,
with healthy, thriving couples,
guys.
and that people just share it. So matter of fact, if you're watching this, if you're being a part of this, share this.
Yeah.
Let people know about EXO. I know it's been a blessing to your marriage. I know that Dave and Ashley have been a blessing to you. I know that Jimmy and Karen have been a blessing to you. So share this with somebody. Send them a link, let them know, text them, tweet them, whatever. Because what I know about Dave and Ashley is they want to see marriages healed. They want to see marriages transparent and naked together because that's God's plan.
Listen to Wild Love. Just
Wild
And
love.
listen to Wild
Yes.
Love. So guys, thanks again. And for all of our subscribers, thank you guys for being here with us. And until next time, from Donnie and Dara, Dave and Ashley, and everybody at EXO, we'll see you again.
Gain instant access to EXO conferences and other dynamic marriage teachings with EXO Now, the new on-demand video streaming subscription from EXO and Marriage Today. Access EXO Now from all your favorite devices and enjoy world-class marriage content wherever, whenever. Save when you sign up for a yearly subscription and receive as an added bonus this year's complete EXO conference for free. Start your free trial today at exomarriage.com/now.